Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Farah Asif, and I'm with you all again with another amazing episode of Global Women Insight. But this time, ladies and gentlemen, we are truly global. Why? Because today I'm honored to have one of my very good friend, a blogger, a writer, and a person who has remained in the pandemic, in the height of pandemic there in Wuhan, Ms. Rebecca. I'll be inviting her, and especially for this show as well, I'll be introducing her to you all. That women are wherever they are. They are women. They are mothers. They are beyond borders, and when they are beyond borders, they have the sympathy, they have the empathy and trust, and love for everyone. And when they share love and they do in their own capacities, they build synergies amongst people. They also not among build synergies amongst people from across the world. They also have the strength to deal with all the challenges that they face. And this pandemic has created us and put us in such a tough situation where women have been playing a strong role. And let us talk to, and let me invite my guest for today, Ms. Rebecca Frank, who is from Wuhan, who has joined us. Welcome to Rebecca. Hello,
Hi,
Rebecca.
thank
How are
you.
you? Hi,
I'm
thank you
doing,
so much for joining us. So
yeah.
Rebecca has joined us from Wuhan, and Rebecca has been heading this working in one of the school in Wuhan, and she is the director of the marketing, admission, and communications in one of the international schools in Wuhan. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us. There are a lot of people who would like to see you. There are a lot of interest there. Not only that your work as a woman, but also that you had gone through such a situation there in Wuhan, which is ground zero of this pandemic that we have seen. So, well, first of all, let us all know about you and where you're from and where you work, especially.
Okay, well, thank you for having me here. It is so good. I'm honored to be here, so thank you. So, where am I from? I'm from the United States of America in Texas, and my husband and I moved here to Wuhan in 2011. So we've lived here we're in our 9th year now. And yeah, so I'm a wife, I'm a mom. I work at the school, the same place that my son goes to school and my husband goes to school. I can see it out my window right now. It's very close. So yes, we love Wuhan and we've been here a while now.
So, tell us, those people who are not from Wuhan, and a lot of news has been coming from Wuhan. As you say, you love Wuhan. So, what is the
Mhm.
beauty around you? So, what is Wuhan?
Wuhan is, it's the people. Wuhan is an amazing community of people who actually, prior to coronavirus, nobody'd really heard of it. We'd never heard of Wuhan. It's just not that famous of a place, 11 million people or so.
Yeah.
And now everybody knows about us, which is, it's good. It's good for business. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad. The people of Wuhan are very, very warm and just hardworking people. There are a lot of universities here, so we're known for our higher education.
Yeah.
We're known for our lakes, lots of water around here. This is the capital of Hubei province.
Yeah.
And it's just a great place to live as a foreigner, as it's just a great place. The people here have taken such great care of us, and we really enjoy calling this home.
Really. But Rebecca, what has made you to move to Wuhan?
Oh, wow. We visited with some friends at our church in the States. We could take trips every other year when we lived there. And the year that we decided, my husband and I decided we needed to get some global experience. We needed to get
Right.
out of the States because we wanted that. We wanted a global perspective on life, on what God is doing in the world
Yeah.
outside the little American bubble.
Yeah.
And so the trip that year was to Beijing and Chengdu.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went, and that was our first experience. And it was not a good experience for me. I was sick, and I just really,
Yeah.
it was horrible. It was horrible. I'll just say it.
Yeah.
So very memorable, though.
Yeah.
But we were here 10 days, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and not in Wuhan, but again in other cities. But we went back. I was very happy to be back in my own home, but I really knew that God was telling us to go. And I never wanted to come to China, never had any interest, but he very clearly told us just go. And we
Go.
did.
Yeah.
So
You
the
did.
next year we just moved here. And we moved here with a job because my husband's a teacher.
Yeah.
So he taught for a long, long time in the States and just came here, found a great organization that has great schools. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how we're here.
Oh, wonderful. That's amazing. So, what is the speciality of Wuhan that you always cherish while you are living there?
Oh, the specialty. Well, when you say specialty, I think food. Okay.
Yes.
And
So
we talked the other day about spicy
yes,
food.
we talked
Yes.
about it.
Yes. Farhan and I love spicy food.
Fast food.
Wuhan is known for a dish, a famous dish called ryogamian, and
Mm-hmm.
ryogamian, hot dry noodle.
Oh,
So
wow.
yes, it's kind of just a hot. I like it spicy. I always say la jiao, la jiao. They just add the spice because if it ain't spicy, it's not worth eating to me. Yeah, there's really good street food, and just the food. Food is culture. I
Yes,
think.
food is culture. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
We say in Pakistan that if you really want to, we say about husbands, we say that if you really want to move towards win husband heart, so you have to go through his stomach. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
you know, so
Yes.
it's like, countries as well. So when you really want to know about the country, you go through those foods, right?
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Mm.
And the local people love to show you their foods here, which is great.
Which is great. So, Rebecca, you've been working with this special school. It's called
Mhm,
Wuhan Yangtze International School. So, what is the
mhm.
school about?
It's a fantastic school. So we are an accredited school here, an international school. We've got around 300 students. We were founded in 2003, and so we've got
Mhm.
students all over the world, from France, from Japan, from Korea, from the States, from Europe. So business people who come here, and just people who are here doing work of some kind. They have children and they want to put them in a very solid, rigorous academic environment. It's our school, and it's a great school. It's a great school. So can start as young as 3 years old and then graduate as a senior in high school there.
Really? So, what are the faculties there in the school? What are different kind of faculties?
Well, our teachers come from all over the world. So we
Mm-hmm.
have, it's very similar. It's just school, very similar to a school in the States, for example, where my husband taught. We got
Mm-hmm.
a secondary department that's 6th grade and up. And then, of course, elementary, the younger kids. My son is in right now. So
Mm-hmm.
he's got 2 teachers in his classroom. His lead teacher is from California.
Oh,
And
wow.
he's also got a local teacher they're all qualified teachers with their teaching certificates. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just fantastic because he's got a local experience, but he's also taught by an international teacher. So our faculty comes from all over the world.
Okay, wonderful. That's amazing. Rebecca, since you moved from US to Wuhan,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
it's a kind of a cross-cultural experience for you. So it was a shock, or it was a new learning experience for you. You had your own impression about China, about, for example, of the country that, city that you're currently in. You had your own impression. So what was that cross-cultural experience, and how far that helped you to build your. I see that you had been into the city for quite a while, and this is all your home. But what was the
Right.
experience of cross culture environment and understanding of the people? Yeah.
hmm Well, it was, we're very fortunate that we traveled here first before we ever moved here. I just think that would have been a little bit more difficult to not really know what to expect when we came in. So having done 10 days in China where we could see it and smell it, know what it was like before moving, that helped a lot. It helped with the transition a lot because it is a big big transition, and it hits you right at the airport.
Yeah.
Very, very hot. It's very hot and humid. And the minute you get off the plane in the summer, which is, we got off in July, and the wave of heat hits you, and then there's a smell to China, and then you hear a language, you have no idea what they're saying.
Dang.
It can be hard if you're not ready for it, but we were ready and kind of jumped in right away with an attitude of, you know what, we're not here for a year or two. We're here and we're going to really invest in this place. So I could not, the smells, the sounds, this is going to be our new norm. And so we've learned the language not very well, but we can do what we need to do, and definitely make lots of Chinese friends, which is the best part of the whole cross-cultural experience, is getting to know the people or the place.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah. So that's been great, is getting to be friends, and we have good coworkers that are local Chinese, and just understanding why they think the way they think, why they do the things they do, and it's just so helpful for changing our little mindset, because we all get in a little box of, what I grew up with, and that's not the world. So it's so helpful to have experiences and get to know people who are different, who believe different things, who eat different things, and all of that. Yes.
So that has actually opened your eyes and your mind to different world, right? And that has, you have also, your school is also an international school. There are people not from China, but from across the world, from different nationalities who are there. So that has also made you to be into the cross-cultural environment. And of course, you had built the environment there in the school as well, right? So, Rebecca, my question again would be that since the beginning of this pandemic, it's all started from Wuhan. So what was it like when you hear first that this is happening? What was the first impression? And I would many of the people who had joined before you answer, I would also like the people who are listening to us right now. You can ask a lot of questions and we can respond and we can discuss about it. So, over to you, Rebecca. So what was the first impression of a pandemic that is happening?
Well, to be honest, I didn't take it very seriously, because I really thought it would just kind of come and go. And I thought people were maybe overreacting a little bit. And I realized, and that was early, that was in November, December of last year when we first started hearing about it. And so it was hard to, I thought we'll wait it out and just see, because our culture is, well, we're going to be fine, right? It'll pass.
It will
And
pass.
it did pass. And so it changed a lot of how we did everything. And we went from the mindset that this will go away quickly and we'll get back to normal quickly, to, oh, this isn't going anywhere and normal's not going to be around for quite a while. So we had to quickly adjust all of our plans, our attitudes, and just decide how we were going to handle it.
Yeah. So when you thought that, okay, ground zero of this pandemic, Wuhan was a ground zero where actually it's there's a lot of question about it, but still, it all started from there. So what was the impression of living in a pandemic? In there, you are seeing your eyes right in front of you. This is evolving there in your country, and there was a huge lockdown and quarantines and stuff there. So how did you manage to keep yourself on the ground, and then you built on, and then what was the community impressions at that time?
Well, my husband and I really decided early on, and you have to, when you're in a situation like this, I think it's very important that you just kind of decide, this is how I'm going to look at this. And we decided this is our home. I mean, this is our home. This is the only home our son has ever known. And we're not just going to leave because things get hard. And it was interesting because a lot of our friends around us did leave, and everybody has a different situation. But we committed to staying
Mm-hmm.
for different reasons, and so we knew that they're going to have to kick us out for us to get out. And so
Yeah.
we thought we're gonna plant down and make the most of it, and it's probably going to get a little uncomfortable, and it did. But we're gonna. I mean, if part of our mindset was all of our friends around us, all of our Chinese friends, they didn't really have the option to go anywhere, and we wanted to stick it out like they were sticking it out. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying we're trying to be martyrs or heroes or anything, because that's not it. But we just didn't like the idea of leaving right then, and we didn't feel like that's what God wanted us to do. So it was difficult. It was difficult at first, but it was also a little bit of an adventure to see, okay, life has thrown a curveball at you. So what are you going to do? How are you going to handle this? And especially for my child, who was watching every move we made and was mimicking every emotion that we had. So it was parenting on display constantly, and good life lessons out of the whole thing.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, wow. So my next question would be about the parenting, because many of my friends who are listening to us, and especially when in Pakistan, we were just having the similar, God forbid, passing through a similar kind of situation
Mm-hmm.
here in Pakistan, where we're just having our curve is moving up. So what you would say to them? I mean, what kind of steps that you took for your kid to be in place, mentally sound, and understand what is happening around? So what you both did. I would also like to invite your husband in a conversation as well. So if we can have the conversation that how the parenting can. So let me also invite him. Say.
Great.
Yeah. So I'll be inviting Rebecca's husband, who's Mr. Edgar Frank, and he's also a teacher. So let us have the conversation together as a family, so that we can also learn from the both experience of parenting. So, hi, Mr. Frank, how are you? So, thank you so
I'm
much for
doing well.
joining us.
Oh, well, thank you for
Good.
inviting me.
So, Frank, I was asking Rebecca about parenting, and how you both had made sure that your son is you can see her son there as well. Daniel is 9 year old. So how you managed to have kept the cool of yourselves, and then you made sure that the young your child is understanding what is happening around. So what you guys taken as steps for making that understanding to happen, and those kids remain calm while you are stressed.
Mhm. I think first we had to remain calm ourselves and to not give in to the fear. And so we decided that we're going to have faith over fear no matter what happens. And there are bad things happening in the world, but we were just not going to give in to the fear, because fear just leads you to a state of mind where you don't know what's going to go on and you make decisions that are rash and really not logical. And so we decided that we're going to remain logical during this and just to give it to faith and not to fear. And also we decided to do routines, daily routines, that we would do certain things every time of the day. And that was really, really well. Our son likes routines. He likes structure. And so we wanted to maintain the structure. Normally he would wake up at 6:30 a.m. to go to school, but we pushed that back to 7:30. And so when we do our online school, we don't start at 8 like a normal school day. We might start at 9. And so we just maintain structure throughout the day, and just have to remember to walk away at some times when it gets very frustrating, and have to hold our tongues when we get really upset because things are going our way.
Yeah. So what about you, Rebecca? So what do you say?
Well, I forgot about the structure and the routine. That was very, very important, because at first you're like, oh, no school, yay, and you can sleep late. And there was a little bit of a break where we had Chinese New Year, and then oh my goodness, we have to figure out how to do school from home now.
Yeah.
So we did have a little bit of a break. But the routine was very important for him.
Mm.
And also, one of the things that we did, and we got to do this early, this was one of the best things I think for him, was to start serving. And what I mean by that was we had some friends who were still here, and there were a lot of foreigners still here in the early days.
Mm-hmm.
And many weren't going out for various reasons or were waiting. They just, we were mobile. We're healthy, and we needed to get out. And so we just decided we're going to start doing shopping for people. And so we would check with others and say, hey, we're going out. What do you need? And it was really great. We would go shopping and drop it off at their door with our masks on, maybe make them some bread or something. But it was a great opportunity for him to see that, you know what, even though things are a little bit weird right now, we can serve. We can find who needs things and we can just serve. So that was a good thing to keep us busy, to keep us focused outward and not focused on all the junky stuff that's going on.
Mm-hmm. So about parenting, there are many parents who might be listening to us right now. You should be listening to Rebecca and Edgar for sharing their parenting tips while right there in the ground zero there in Wuhan, and how they had, mentally not only satisfied themselves, but also their son is, stable. It's like, in these kind of crisis situation when it is evolving, you need as a parent and as a husband and wife and father and mother, you need to focus more on your children. So Rebecca, my question again would be that while you are managing your work from home, and you're also working, you're also managing school and that responsibility as well. So how you were balancing between you and your home, and especially when you are into such a lockdown, one can imagine. So
Well,
how
let
you
me tell you,
were managing?
I wasn't. At the beginning, I pretty much did not do my job. And if my boss is on this call, or she'll listen to it later, she'll go, yeah, that's right, she did. She gave me a lot of grace, we'll say, because you can't. Because at the beginning, it was very difficult because everything. I mean, stores were closing, and we didn't know how we were going to feed our family. And my family is more important than my job. And you would say that too.
Yeah.
So you take care of these basic needs of being able to make sure your child is well, your family has food, you're safe, you're protected. And then once all that got worked out a little bit more, then I started paying more attention to my job. But honestly, it was I did not balance it well at the beginning because it was hard. It was hard. And my most important role is that of a mom and a wife. And so I had to get that in order first. And then later, once everything got into a routine, and it took a long time, it really did. It took several weeks. And once we got school into a routine and we learned the new way of doing business, when we couldn't leave and couldn't go shop and couldn't order food like we normally would. Once we learned that, then I was able to figure out the other stuff like my own work and interests, but all that definitely took a back seat to the basic needs at first.
So my next question would be from both of you is about how the community reacted around you and extended, how the community made possible that you are all connected together. Because I have seen, ladies and gentlemen, Rebecca is also a blogger, a writer, and my main connection point was her blogs that went viral across the world. So you had shared a lot of stories from how you all were connected. So you can share about that as well.
Well, I first took to Facebook because I needed to let my family know and friends know that, okay, this is going on and we're fine. And so just as a means of documenting what's going on and letting people know that things were okay. And it was very important to me to state truth. And it was only our truth, right? Because I can't speak to what's going on in this whole huge city everywhere, but I can speak to what I see and what I know from my friends here. And so that grew and people became interested, and I got to meet, I got to grow a community like you and you and several other people. And it's just been wonderful meeting new friends across the world, and genuine, not just people who, there are people, of course, that you'll never really connect with, but a genuine group of folks who want to support each other and want to know, like you do, what was it like in your area? And now to support each other all over the world. So the social community has been really helpful. Our local community, you couldn't ask for a better situation, really, because after several weeks and after a lot of the evacuations happened, we ended up being just a handful of Americans here. And with everybody locked down, people knew who we were and where we were. And once the local people, neighbors that we didn't really know, once they knew that there were foreigners here, they instantly found us and would bring food to us and would leave their phone number, and they would find the English speakers and they would say, if you need anything, I can help you. Please let me know how I can. And just to see the human spirit connect together, seeing people connect in the middle of this really tough time was beautiful. I mean, I felt like I have all these brothers and sisters now that I probably wouldn't have had. It's connected us in a great way. It's connected us virtually like we are right now. And then it's connected us with our neighbors downstairs who want to make sure that we're okay, you know? So it's beautiful.
So what about you, Edgar?
I think much like what Rebecca said, another component is we have colleagues that live in our apartment complex. Our apartment complex has anywhere between 10 to 13,000 people in it. And so we have 4 that are still here. And before COVID, we were colleagues at school, would pass each other in the hallways. But now through this pandemic, we're closer with each other. We have 2 over each week for our Monday night routine dinner. And so every Monday we have dinner with these 2 coworkers, and then there's another family that we interact with often. And so it's just built that connection that kind of lacking, because you can work in a school with other people, but you really don't build those connections. It's easy to just stay in your classroom and focus on the needs of your students in your class, and you don't really build those relationships with others. And so this has actually brought a lot of strength between the relationships. And now we're actually talking about doing a vacation this summer. Once the school year is over, we're going to go somewhere as a group and just enjoy. Rebecca and I have never really done before with colleagues, and so this will be a first for us.
Well, that's, challenging times always gives you a lot of synergies. I say that there is always, challenge gives you an strength to grow as a community. And I see that from Rebecca, from you as well, that you had grown, you outgrow from yourself as Rebecca, who was there in the teaching faculty, but also as a community builder who has actually made possible to let the world know that how is it to be there in the pandemic, there at the ground zero. So the life lessons that you have learned so far are different from what has been you've been practicing there in the year, say 6 months ago, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You kind of learn what's important during a time like this, and what's, what differences really don't matter. You learn what's important and you go after those things despite differences. So yes, I think every one of us has changed, especially, well, every one of us. I mean, we've got staff and friends who are in countries that they just were thinking of visiting in January, and now they're stuck. And then we're stuck here and can't get out. And, these things make us stronger. They kind of teach you what you're made of, which is exciting. Yeah.
So Rebecca, as we were discussing that we will be having our religious holidays in few days, and many of people here in Pakistan are quite sad, including me, that we were not being able to meet our family members, especially parents, as we have the ritual of going to meet them. on regular basis on these kind of religious holidays. So since you are into that situation as well, you had remained there in this situation where you have seen where this Easter holidays are also passed, and then
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things. So how did you both manage to keep yourself, happy or satisfied, or a level of contentment that this is happening with us and we should not be going out and risking others' life? So I would really like to know about that, because as your answer would help many people around who are currently very sad because we are just heading for that holiday.
Yeah, it's hard when you make plans and you realize that they've got to change and you can't really do anything about it. So we're Christian and we get our strength from God, and He has absolutely provided. He's provided everything we've needed here. And so it's been hard when we've walked into situations and haven't. Easter, for example, we haven't been able to do it like we wanted to, but He allowed us to. We did get together with our core group of coworkers, and we had to go up on a rooftop to do it.
Yeah, I've seen that, the picnic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but picnic on the rooftop, and it's the greatest thing ever. If you've never done a picnic on the rooftop, and then if you get kicked out, which we did a couple of times, that's even more memorable, right? But he allowed us opportunities to get together with each other. Now, we did not do this with the local Chinese, but we knew that after 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks of quarantine, we're not sick, we're well, and we're just going to get our families together. And like Edgar was saying earlier, it's been fantastic to have that community that we could do it with. And we've also been able to connect through means like this, through Zoom and other streaming ways across the internet, across the world. And so that it can still be good.
Yeah, wonderful. So what I would really like to ask you both as well is that how the current trainings and online communications, since you both are educationists and you're part of a school. So what are the different means of communication are being used by the teachers there and the schools that you are part of to teach students? And especially when you're teaching, you really need to have the connection with the teacher, though, but online teaching is going on. So what are the different steps that your school has taken to build that relationship with your students?
Edgar?
I'll take this one. Sorry, we have a little pet that wants to chew on my hand right now. So when this all started, like Rebecca said, we didn't really know what was going to happen. It started for us, or at least for me, in January, and we're going into Chinese New Year holiday break, which was 2 weeks. And a lot of our students didn't know as well. And so they went on vacations, and they left all their school materials at school, because when you go on vacation, you don't take your school laptop, you don't take your textbooks with you to an island, you just take yourself. And so when we learned about the pandemic was really bad in the start of February, we had to assess where our students were in the world, because most of our students are not local Chinese. And so we knew that they were going to be someplace in the world, whether it's in Asia, in Europe, or in America. So the first thing we wanted to do is establish contact with our students and just say, hey, we're here, we're working on a plan, and we were truthful in that we didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but we knew that we were going to create something to make sure learning continued. And so we reached out for our students to see where they were, and then we wanted to see, okay, what do you actually have? Some students had laptops, some students had their phones, and so we had to take that in consideration when we built our platform of how we're going to teach our students. And our teachers responded greatly. I mean, our teachers also were not in China, and if they were locked into their apartments, so they couldn't get to the school. They didn't have access to their own computer. They didn't have access to their teaching materials. And so the teachers had to make it up based on the skill and the things that they've learned through the course of their teaching. And so we just started out slowly of just establishing contact. We had a review week. And so one of the systems that we used is called Canvas. And Canvas is a way where teachers can plug in their lessons on a platform, and they can just send it to the students, and then they can, it's basically like an online university course.
Okay.
And so we're having third graders taking courses like a university course, but the teachers are having to create the system. They're having to find content based on standards and resources, which, if you want me to go into designing curriculum, I can, but Rebecca, go over to that one. The teachers have worked really hard, and so the teachers are working very, very hard just to make the best out of the situation. And also, the key thing that we decided to do is we didn't want to keep a normal school schedule, because there's no way that you could pack in 5 hours of what you do in a classroom with a parent, because as great as parents are, they're not trained teachers, and so you don't know all the little things of instruction. And so we wanted to make it as simple and as easy possible for the parents, because we knew that, well, one of the reasons was a lot of our parents don't speak English, and so they're English second language as well, and so they're having to learn how to do this as well. And so we wanted to keep it simple for them. So we had the perspective of, there are end users, and how can we make this easy for them but continue the learning process. So we kind of scaled down the lessons. I mean, kids are still learning. It's not the same as you would in the classroom. I mean, we do need schools going forward out of this. But the teachers, the parents have been great. The kids have been champions of the online system and adapting to it. It's hard, but we've also added a lot of grace in, knowing that kids cannot complete their work on time, and it's okay. So we give them extra days, or we give them what we call grace weeks, where they have a week just to catch up. And so, yes, content is important, but we also care about the heart of our students, and we're making sure that they know that we care about them as people, not just as learners.
So wonderful. So my next question would be that how this pandemic is revolutionizing the entire academic environment around us. I mean, and what would be in future? You guys are academicians yourselves. You have been teaching, but what is life? Education after coronavirus. I mean, during the coronavirus period. So how it is revolutionizing. So I would like to see your input on that, because many of my friends who are in the list, in my, they might be listening to you. So what are the challenges that they might be facing, and what is happening in the education field around the world as well, as you might be seeing?
Well, around the world, schools are going to online systems just to continue learning. What we're seeing here in China is schools are starting to open up. I mean, in Wuhan, grades 12 and 9 have returned to campus, and there's a good chance that the rest of the students will return in a week or two. We have schools in other cities in China, and they've also returned to campus. They're establishing social distancing guidelines where kids have to wear masks at school. They have to sit far apart at lunch, and so they're establishing practices to make sure everybody's safe going forward, because we do care about the health. Nobody really knows what it's going to be like in 6 months. We can guess, we can make contingencies for what might happen and plans for what might happen, but I think teachers want to return to campus. They miss their students. They miss that one-on-one interaction. I mean, I'm teaching class as well, and so I miss interacting with my students. And I can tell that our son is missing the interaction with his teachers.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher for 17 years, and I can tell you it is a lot easier teaching other people's kids than it is your own kids. And so one of the big challenges the first 3 weeks was he had to realize that I'm not dad. I'm Mr. Franks in this moment teaching you the content. And that was really hard for him to kind of make that mental shift of, but you're dad, you're not my teacher. And so I feel a lot of empathy for the parents out there that had to struggle, and they're still struggling for teaching their kids, because it's a hard dynamic to bring into the fold.
Yeah. You want to say something, Rebecca, as well?
Well, just a few things. I mean, learning to study with technology is really important. When you go to college, it's going to be incredibly important for you to have that skill already. So there is a benefit to being forced to having your hand forced to this a little bit, in that you're learning those skills that you will have to have later in life. You're learning them now. And our school was actually doing some of that already with the secondary students with a hybrid program. Um, and one main benefit is, man, I have so much more respect for teachers now. And because I can see the hard work that, I mean, here when my son is doing his schoolwork with his Chinese teacher and his regular, classroom teachers, they're amazing. And I never get to see into that world otherwise, but man, it's a hard job. And so hats off to every teacher out there.
Yeah. Wonderful. And those people who had just joined me, we are into an amazing episode of Global Women Insight, and we are in conversation with Ms. Rebecca and her husband as well. Both are teachers. Rebecca is heading this marketing and mission and communication department in one of the leading school in Wuhan, and we are talking to them from the ground zero of Wuhan. So, Rebecca, you both decided not to move away from Wuhan during the pandemic. So what was that decision, and why did you make that decision? Because you have the option to move away. So there are many people who are we have also witnessed a lot of students from China coming to Pakistan. They wanted to come. There are many people from across the world who wanted to go back to their countries, homelands. But you both decided to stay in Wuhan. So what was that decision? Tell us about that. Because that's a brave decision, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was part of it is, like I said earlier, we just really consider this our home, and I couldn't imagine just leaving because things got hard. And part of that's just me. I'm just stubborn, and I thought, well, I want to see what plays out. I want to see how this is going to work. So there's a lot of pride in those statements, and I recognize that. And then I could not imagine, we don't have a home in America anymore. So I'm far too old to sleep on, my mom's couch. I don't want the whole guest bedroom for God knows how long, So that was, and plus we heard of quarantine, and just the alternative didn't seem as appealing as staying here and seeing if our local friends who can't leave, if they can do this, well, we can do this. And so let's do this. And also a responsibility to the school. And Edgar is one of the leaders of the school. And our head principal is here. Her name is Erica. She is amazing. She's one of the ones here. And, Edgar kind of committed to helping her. And the handful of us thought, you know what, we can do this. So, yeah.
So what about you, Edgar?
Much like what Rebecca said, I mean, I think when they asked me, my response is, remember the Alamo. So I'm a Texan, and that's our slogan. You don't give up, you stay in until the very end. And I was just going to stay till the very end. Until they told us to leave, I was going to be here. Like Rebecca said, it was also a strategic move. Like, where would we go? We would have to teach our son in a relative's household. Meanwhile, we would have our own jobs going on. And so we could stay in our own house, and it is safe and it's secure as long as you make the right decisions. It's safe. You wear your mask, you wash your hands, you do social distancing. We were fine. So we knew that going in, that was our plan. And so this is our home. And like Rebecca said, we have friends that were stuck throughout China, and they weren't allowed to leave their apartments because they were from Wuhan. And so if they can, we were just going to go through it with them. And so.
Oh, wonderful. So what is the situation right now there in Wuhan? We have been seeing a lot of. We have seen Rebecca's blog about. I mean, you are almost free from virus. We're not having any kind of viruses as long as we are talking. But we don't know. But we can hear from you that what is the situation right now there in the city.
Well, we're in the middle of, or actually on the tail end of this 10 days of testing. They're going to test everybody, all 10, 11 million people here, test every person for COVID. We did our test yesterday, by the way, and that was fun. And I think they've discovered a few cases in the middle of that, but not many from what I've heard. And the city is really, it's open, so we're not locked down anymore. And most of the city is back. I won't say back to normal, but you can go in restaurants now, which is beautiful. You can eat inside. And that's been one of the biggest things, because one of the hardest parts about quarantine is I just really want to get out of my house. But even the city opened up at first, there was nowhere to go because the gates were open, but you could not go. There was nothing else open. And so, but now things are opening, and yeah, so the city really is coming back to life, and cautious because they're being very, very smart with how they do things, very careful. And the local people are very smart, and they're still wearing masks and are not crazy with what they do. So people are cautiously optimistic.
So yes, great. Yeah, I've seen life again and seeing the city to move, from its what has passed through it. Rebecca, you begin. My first connection with you is your blogs, right? So what has made you write those blogs? I mean, those are amazing, amazing, and those went viral across the world, and it reached to me as well. So I, made the connection. I made possible that I reach out to you and talk to you. So what has made you to write those blogs? And let me share with you, ladies and gentlemen, and for friends who are seeing us right now. Rebecca is regularly putting the blogs as well. So it's called Fly Folly Writes. Yes, is it like that?
That's right. Flyfolio, yes. Flyfolio.
Yes. So what is it's all about?
Oh, well, I came up with this term. I want to be a social media encourager, because there's a lot of negative talk, and there's a lot of fake news, and I'm not into either one of those, because frankly, they're not productive. They're not helpful to anybody. Like Edgar said earlier, we chose to have faith over fear, because fear, I just don't want to live my life like that. So I want to show the positives that are going on. And there is so much good. There is so much good that's come out of this quarantine and this whole situation. And if you focus on the negative stuff, that's all you're ever going to see. That's all your friends are going to hear. That's all my son is ever going to do. It's not, there's no point. So I just decided, let's just talk about the good. Well, let's tell truth, right? But let me show you what all is happening in the middle of that and what all God is doing. So, and I'm not trying to be a Pollyanna and not see the danger out there, because it has been very dangerous, but in the middle of it, there's still good. And so let's just talk about that, because frankly, we need a little bit more of that. We need a little more encouraging one another. Like you, oh my goodness, Farhat, every time you've reached out to me, all you've done is encourage me. And you don't ask for anything, you don't want anything, you just want to build women up. You want to build up other people and just encourage, so that we can kind of share love.
Yeah.
And we need some more love going on around here. So that's all. And I like to write. And so I thought, we're just gonna keep encouraging.
Yeah, that was the real motivation. So you also, it's not on purpose. You were writing before this pandemic as well, or you begin writing during this?
Well, both. I mean, I've had a blog. This particular website is new to me. I've written on and off for years, and I love to write, and I'm kind of a nerd in that regard. But it's also just a craft that I'd like to learn better. And I studied communications in university, and I think I've got a little bit of a talent for it. And so it's both. It's let me, I think God kept us here and gave me a skill for writing and a heart for wanting to encourage others and a platform. And so he put all these great things together, and I don't know what he's doing with it yet, but I'm encouraged just to have new friends who are reading, and we're connecting. I could just list some great names of people that I've just connected because of this writing. And yeah, so yeah, I don't make a dime from it. And frankly, it takes a lot of time right now. but I love sharing. One day maybe I'll make a little, but that's not the point. The point is just to share the experience. And yeah, when one person says, "Oh my goodness, you've given me hope," I'm like, okay, I'm done. That's all. I'm done. If one person can get a little hope out of it, that is what I want. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a simple. These are the simple joys of life, isn't it? You find simple joys in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like that. So, many of the people who might be listening to you right now, I would really like to, ask, as many of the people have been asking that, what are the preventions or responses that you built or around your in your house and you regularly practice to prevent yourself from affected, from this virus. So please do share those kind of rituals or the structures that you have built around in your house, and you're practicing those so that people who are listening to you, they can also begin doing that as well. Can you share?
Okay. Yes. Now we're sharing just from experience and not as medical professionals. Okay. So
Yeah.
China made it pretty easy for us early on in that they required the masks. So we have always had to wear a mask anytime you leave the house. And so we've been wearing masks since January. And other things that have been really important is understanding that your house has to be a clean space. So even
Okay.
though you go outside, I know he
Yeah.
loves art. Even though
Yeah.
you go outside, you come in and you take off the shoes and you take off the outer layer of clothes and you leave them
Okay.
at the door, outside the door.
Okay.
This was easy for us in winter. Now it's hot right now, so it's different. But in the early stages, we would have an outer layer, a coat or whatever, and that never crossed over into our house. And anything that was outside, we left at the door. And we still have a bottle of alcohol, and we come in the door, spray down our phones, spray down our keys, things like that to kill the germs.
Mm.
So things like that we've learned from one of our friends who's here is quarantined with us, and she's a doctor, and she put in our mind the things about the clothes, and that just makes a lot of sense to have a germ zone, right? And the house is the clean zone. So anything that comes in has to stay clean. And social distancing, I mean, that is important to just keep your distance, especially from people you don't know and you don't know where they've been and you don't know what their habits are. And then of course, wash your hands. It's been really good for being a mom because, we're always teaching our kids, wash your hands, wash your hands. And now everybody's teaching, wash your hands, wash your hands. So yes, wash your hands. Yep.
Yes.
So those kind of things are just.
So these kind of rituals.
Yeah, and they become routine. I know that they're
Yeah.
annoying, but they do become routine. And we've been wearing masks since middle of January. And I'm tired of it, but you do it because first off, you've been told to do it. And so, but we do it also because this is not going to last forever. And it's for my good. It's for your good. It's for everybody's good.
Yeah.
So you just endure these things.
Yeah.
And there you go.
I mean, this is amazing that we are hearing someone who has experienced this pandemic, and you have gone through it. So I mean, as you see, my banner is about hope and healing. Especially going through the tough times and crisis times. So you had shared also that you're sharing hope. So what is the healing part in the process? Because I know that we humans are humans, right? We are not angels. We are not superhumans. We are just humans, right? So in this whole process, we are just trying to heal ourselves. So how can we build that energy or strength in ourselves to heal, especially when you are seeing your friends or family going through tough times? So what are the healing strengths that we can have?
Well, one of the things that I've learned through this, and a lot of my friends have, we talk about how we don't want to come through this time the same. I mean, it is hard, but God has equipped us to, He's equipped us to heal, and He is right there to help us heal. So how do you heal I think you pay attention to the lessons and hold on to the people that have become more dear to you during this time. You take away some of the practices that you've learned. And, part of the healing is also cutting away the things that you've learned through this pandemic that are not really necessary.
Yeah.
You just kind of learn a new way of life, you get your priorities in order. And the healing part, and this, honestly, this really is a struggle since we're returning to life that looks a little more normal. I'm trying to remember these lessons. I'm trying to remember what it was like to just sit in quiet on my balcony and stare out at the city and pray and read and just be still. Because when the world starts getting busy again and when the healing happens on the outside world, I don't want to forget this time. So the reflection and the inner focus is really important right now. And just remember the struggle and remember what God is teaching you through it.
Yeah, in one of your blogs, when I was reading through, you say that you don't want to go out. This quarantine period was so phenomenal for you. And it was not only difficult time, but it was also a great time for you. What was saying that you don't want to go out from your house? So what was that thought in your mind when you were writing those lines?
Life was really simple. Life is really simple. When all of a sudden all your rights, it feels like you don't have them anymore. When you're told that you can't leave, when you're told that you can't get through the gate, that you can't do anything that you used to do, you can't even go to work. Everything gets really distilled down to a few simple things. And at first you fight it and it's really, really hard. And then you stop fighting. Hopefully we all will stop fighting. And you kind of surrender to it and find your comfort in that. And so I'd found a way to be still. I'm not one to ever enjoy being home. I don't, but now I do. And so I didn't want a return to the busy. I didn't want to return to the chaos and forgetting to actually look people in the eye and talk to them. And I didn't want to be so busy that I couldn't take the time to listen to my son's story while he eats his meal. I didn't want to return to that busy. So I think quarantine and lockdown and this whole process has forced us all to stop, to pause. And I don't want to go back to what happened before. I don't want to go back to the busy life. And I'm fighting that right now. But that's what that was about, and continue.
Yeah. That's also amazing because you humans are something very amazing because in this world we keep ourselves busy. We really wanted to go not busy, and when we are not busy, we just want to stay at that level. So there is a lot of love coming from across the world, Rebecca, for you. There are people are listening to you, and there are people are sending their lot of love to you as well. So Iman is with us. Iman, thank you so much for being with us. Iman Ibrahim is asking that, are schools reopened? Yes, Frank was sharing that schools have been reopened. Schools are open, right?
Not completely. So the local schools are open in certain grades in Wuhan. So Wuhan is kind of the last one to open completely, I think. But no, it's on 9th grade or 8th grade and then 12th grade, because those are the key grades for moving to the next level. They're open. And there are plans for the rest of the grades to open, but not yet.
Not yet. And what about the universities? Universities are open?
I'm sorry, can you say that?
Universities, higher education institution.
There's a university very near to us, and I know that they are not, but one of the reasons that they're not is because they were also used as a makeshift hospital for a lot of patients. And so they're one of the last ones. I'm not really sure about all the universities in the city, but I think in general, they're not wanting to encourage big crowds of people. So schools are slower to open than other types of business.
So another question that Iman has asked, that thank you so much. She said that she's been waiting for this.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you. Thank you so much, Iman. So Iman is asking that advice on what to expect with regards to sending kids to school. I mean, she might be asking about the precautionary measures that if that we can take while sending kids to school. So what kind of
Mm-hmm.
precautionary measures that we should be taking in sending them?
Mm. Well, as a parent, you have to send them back when you're comfortable. And as a school, one thing that we're doing is really getting our campus ready. And it's exciting because even though our school doors are not open yet to our kids, we're doing all kind of measures to make sure that when they do come back, everything is sanitized to a whole different level than it ever was before. And yeah, so there's just a readiness on the part of the school. And I mean, we're so close to the end of the year now. I think most schools here are our kids are not going to go back on campus. But trust in your school system and reach out and talk to your administrators and just ask them, what's your plan? A lot of people have asked us, and we're ready to say the things that we're doing. Our operations department is really working to get our campus safe, because that's more important than anything, safe. And they can do that.
So you're also following certain kind of protocols by the local authorities as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So Iman, thank you so much. Iman saying sending thank you to you, and she's also
Thank
asking
you.
that what are the per number day cases in Wuhan, and you had answered that already. She's asking that what are the approximate cases per day at the moment there in Wuhan? Are they
What are
rising,
the
or what is happening there in the per day cases about the virus infections? She's asking about infections in Wuhan.
Okay. Yes. Parenting.
It's okay. It's okay.
There are some sites, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me. I mean, there are some active cases here, of course, but as
Yeah.
far as new cases, the new cases are the important thing that we don't want to see a spike in, and
Yeah.
we've not. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of good websites that we can reference to find out the exact numbers, but I don't know the exact numbers right now. But it is low. We do not have an outbreak. We had 6 new cases about a week ago, and that was very contained and very specific. And that was last Saturday or so, 6 in Wuhan. But in a city this large, after the last 4 months of this huge virus, I think that's excellent. So 6
That's
is,
excellent. Sis is
yes,
just, I mean, they might be, God, we pray that they recover. It's just not only the
right.
cases they're recovering. So it's like, for example, when you talk about this pandemic, it's like when you have the virus, it means it does not, Rebecca, I would also like to ask you about that, is that many of the people who are asking about the infections, it's like
Uh-huh.
you're infected, but it's not a death penalty. So you can recover
Exactly.
as well. So this is very important, Rebecca. You must share about this as well. Those people who are listening right now.
Yes, what you said is exactly what I've said many times. It's not a death wish. So, of course, many people have died, and we don't want to see anybody die. But just because you get the virus does not mean that you're even going to be very ill. Okay. Everybody's situation is different. Your body composition is different. Your history is different. And there are conditions that you may have that can complicate anything. If you get a cold, it could look much worse than it would look on me for various reasons. I know many people who have had the virus and came out of it just fine. Okay. So, and I've heard lots of other stories, and especially with these connections through Facebook, people tell me their stories, and I'm like, some of them are really heartbreaking, and some of them are, you know what, I got it, I quarantined, and I'm fine. So, no, it is not a death wish. And I think our minds, watching too much of the negative news can really impact how you approach it. So don't
Yeah.
go there, think positive and think that, okay, yes, I have this, but that doesn't mean that I have to get very ill and I have to be a statistic, because no, there's a huge power in positive thinking, and that affects your physical body. So
Yeah, Rebecca, thank you so much. Amanda is sending us a lot of love and prayers from across the world. I don't know, Amanda, where are you from? But thank you so much for sending us a lot of love. And I mean, this is amazing that we had the conversation with Rebecca. And I would definitely reckon what she has just said, that it's all about power of positivity and love that you can share, because we've seen a lot of negative news and images and whatnot. You can do that. If you have the negative energy, so all you have to do is that produce and project and do whatever the positive energy, and that will impact the virus if you have. I think,
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca, because,
Mm-hmm.
and that positive energy is also a healing and hope energy, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
can also kill all the pandemics, all the challenges in our lives that can happen. So I would also like to request, ask you for your message to the people who are listening us to us right now, and I will invite Edgar for his message as well, because you both are positive and forward looking and amazing couple that we can hear love to hear from you again as well. So your message for today to everyone.
I want to say God has a plan. Okay. And I know very specifically he kept us here for a reason. And maybe that's to encourage another person or to teach my son a lesson. But know that he's got a plan for your life
Your life. Yes.
and whatever is going on. So if you're in a situation right now that is not so beautiful because of the pandemic, look for the good because it is there. Look for the good and then try to share that with others, because that's going to heal the world in a far better way than the negative. So look for the good things to share and do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have invited Edgar. Edgar, are you there? Can you hear
Yes, I'm
us?
here.
Yes, we
Yes.
can't see you.
Oh,
Can't see you.
Thank you. Do not.
Oh, there you are. Got you. So so Edgar, your message to everyone.
I think like what Rebecca just said is you need to focus on the good. There are good things happening. I mean, during this time, our family has come together stronger than we have been in the past. Before the pandemic, we really did not like weekends because it took away the structure. We did not like summer vacation because it was always, I'm bored, I'm bored. But during this time, that really hasn't happened. And we've really relied on each other. I think our connection as a family has really grown stronger through this. I know families are all different and there are issues going on, but there's a time that we can be real with each other and just honest with each other and look for the good, as Rebecca said.
Oh, wonderful. That's a wonderful message, Edgar. Thank you so much. And Rebecca Iman was listening to us from South Africa, and she said that there are plans to reopen school from June 1st for grade 7 and 12, and we have approximately 500 plus new cases per day there in South Africa. So, well, thank you so much. I hope that we are sending, both me and Rebecca are sending a lot of love to you, towards your side. Please, those people who are listening to us, spread love, spread happiness, and as much as possible, you can help each other in this time of crisis, because this crisis is pass away. This crisis will not last longer, but as a humanity, we'll be staying here. We'll be together here. We're all in together. And thank you so much, Rebecca. We were in conversation with Rebecca from Wuhan city, where this pandemic all started, and I'm so overwhelmed with emotions that I'm talking to her, because I've been following her writings for so long, and I was amazed at how this woman is there in at the center of the COVID pandemic, ground zero. But the positivity from coming from that place, it's such a crisis, is amazing. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for being with us, and thank you so much, Edgar, for sharing and for your love as well and for your work.
Oh,
Please
it's
continue
been an
doing those.
honor.
Yes, thank you so much, Rebecca, and thank you so much, everyone who had been with us. And this is Daniel. This is Rebecca's son. Say hi, Daniel, to everyone. So this is Daniel as
Hi.
well. So Daniel is our hope for tomorrow. Our children are our hope for tomorrow, and we'll definitely be pass through this challenge as we did in our early times as well, but only through love, through hope, and through healing. Thank you so much,
Amen.
Rebecca. And
Thank you.
those who are watching us right now, this is our end of the show, and I'm grateful and honored that Rebecca has given us the time. I'll be meeting you tomorrow again for a wonderful, amazing, within another amazing woman from across the world who has remained as my mentor. And I hope that you will be joining us there as well. And then we'll have a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, everyone.